Hey guys, welcome back to Flat Creek Outdoors. Working in the wood yard today. I had a bit of an epiphany, and that right there is wood crate that I made the other day. I shared with you a video making that, but that's where I'm now putting the odd cuts and crotches and end pieces and all that. We'll largely burn this in our own fire pit, but if I accumulate a bunch of crates full of this, maybe I'll sell some of that, but we'll just have to wait and see. But my objective was to clean up the wood yard, and that helped because I had a bunch of piles of that random stuff all around this area up here, and I've now got that cleaned up, and I'm just about ready to build a second crate. But what I wanted to share with you today is some of the work that I've been doing in here. I've always stacked my firewood to season, and this section down here, this pile down on this end, is the greenest oak that I have. And red oak, I want to sell it perfectly seasoned, and it takes a good 2 seasons at maybe 16-18 months depending on exactly when you cut it. But just 1 season is usually not enough for that. It just really holds on to its moisture. So I'll probably continue to stack the red oak that I split when it's green, but the rest of this stuff, these logs had been cut for many months before they got delivered to me, and a lot of this stuff is pretty dry. And my epiphany was stacking it is just a huge waste of time and energy, and you guys have commented on some of that in previous videos. I know many of you guys that do firewood, you are just making huge piles. Maybe you've got one of those what do you call it? Not an elevator, but the word's not coming to me. You know what I'm talking about. One of those things that moves the wood up away from where you're working. So I don't have one of those, but I think maybe I'll need to consider getting one of those in the future, because what I started to do is make some room, because we're going to do some more splitting this weekend, and I'm kind of starting to run out of room up here. So I started stacking, and I spent about an hour stacking, and I was just like, I'm not getting anywhere. This is taking forever. So here's what I'm doing instead. So as we come down this end of the pile, I started throwing stuff up there, and I'm going to keep mounting it up more or less as high as I can chuck it. But what we're going to start doing as we're splitting is throwing it onto the pile. Not just this pile up that high, because it's already getting 7+ feet high in places, but we're going to start throwing it onto pallets that are alongside of this pile. This, like I said, this stuff is all pretty dry. I'm not concerned about it getting like optimal airflow in there. I'm not concerned about it getting moldy, because it's not going to be here that long. Within a couple months, it's going to be dry enough for me to sell. Some of it really already is, but let's just say at most it's going to be here for a few months, maybe into the fall, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. On the other side though, this is a big shift for me. Over here now, we've got a bunch of pallets on the ground. I stood some up there, braced them. I'll continue to do that as I build this out. But now we can just split on this side of the pile and chuck it on. And as this gets built up, then we can throw it up on top as well. And this will end up being, well, let's see, it's already it's into 4 pallets deep now. So, approaching 12+ feet across in that direction. And I think we can probably get it out at least one more out this way. And, maybe with our splitting session this weekend, we'll get into that. The big realization here is that obviously this is a big time saver, but we can also save a touch by throwing it onto the pile as soon as we split it. We can station the splitter right over here and just chuck it on. So hopefully this is just a big efficiency gain for us. And what I need to do now is get the rest of this stuff is just kind of mounded up all around here onto the pile and out of the way, so that we can start splitting some of what we've started to accumulate. I've got a small pile of rounds over here, and I've got logs up across the property now that were delivered the other week, another big dump truck full of logs that we can haul back here and start splitting on and just add to this pile. So that is the plan. Over here we've got a couple little stacks of some of the bigger cutoffs from the sawmill. I figured I'd cut those into 16-inch pieces, stack them over here. I've got a few other boards laying around that I need to cut and stack, and that'll end up being some bundle wood in the fall. I'll just sell that mixed in with some cheap campfire bundles. And there's some pine, there's some poplar there. There'll be a lot more pine, a lot more poplar with some of the projects that we want to do around here. So I can just pile all that up over here. The word I couldn't think of a few minutes ago was conveyor. Maybe one of these days I'll need to get a conveyor, and then we can just station it right next to the splitter up on top of that pile, and we won't have to touch it at all. As soon as it comes off the splitter, it'll just doop, 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 stack up there. To get that? Doop, 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 doop. That way. So I'm always looking for ways to get more efficient here as I try to do more and more firewood every year. Each of the last 3 years I've doubled it every year, and I'm trying to double it again this year. And I realize I need either more manpower, or I need more equipment to make me more efficient, or I just need to find other like operational efficiencies like this, like not stacking it, in order to get where I need to go. Because this isn't the only thing that I do. This isn't my only job, and I just can't dedicate copious amounts of time to producing firewood. So get anything I can do to get more efficient, you know, I need to explore that to its fullest. So I've got 3 big oak trees down right now that you know, if I split it right now would get added to this stack. But what I'm going to do is come back to the green stuff last, because I've got a bunch of other stuff up in the parking lot like I talked about. And you know, maybe I'll just kind of pile it off on the side of the field, let it air dry in log form for a few months, and then come back and split it later. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on around here as it relates to firewood, but in this video, I wanted to kind of share with you this little epiphany that I had for, you know, not stacking the wood. I think it's going to be good for me. And as much as I like seeing these nice, long, clean, stacked rows, it's just a huge time suck, and I don't need to keep doing that. That's going to do it for me, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next video. Bye-bye.